All right, welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you've been hearing the endless buzz about AI-assisted coding, and you're sitting there wondering, okay, but how do I actually get this running on my own machine without completely breaking everything? Well, you're in the exact right place. Today, we are going on a highly practical, step-by-step journey into GitHub Copilot, specifically for Visual Studio. We're going to cover the whole shebang, from the initial setup to actually generating code right there inside your editor. But hey, before we dive into the technical weeds, we got to talk about the buy-in, right? Just to set your expectations straight out of the gate, for a personal account, GitHub Copilot runs about $10 per calendar month. But here's the really great part. They offer a totally risk-free 30-day trial before you actually have to commit to a paid subscription. You can literally cancel any time within those 30 days to dodge any charges. So you know exactly what the commitment is up front. Zero pressure. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll look at Copilot licensing and costs. Second, installing the extension itself. Third, writing code with AI. And finally, we'll cover the limitations and security risks. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Copilot licensing and costs, understanding your options. So GitHub basically gives you two main subscription models to choose from, one for personal accounts and one for business accounts. Now, as a personal user, once that 30-day trial wraps up, you've got a choice. You can stick with a monthly billing cycle at $10, or you can grab a yearly plan for $100 a year. It's a pretty straightforward choice, really. It just depends on your personal budget and, how much you plan to rely on this tool to skip writing all that tedious boilerplate code. Moving right along to Section 2, installing the extension, getting set up in Visual Studio. Okay, I know adding a literal AI assistant to your daily workflow might sound a bit like sci-fi, but trust me, the setup is incredibly straightforward. It really just comes down to 4 simple steps: checking your current Visual Studio version, grabbing the extension from the manager, running the installer, and then authenticating your GitHub account. Easy peasy. So the absolute most crucial point here is compatibility. Before you do literally anything else, you've got to make sure your development environment is actually ready for this. On Windows, just head up to Help and select About Microsoft Visual Studio. According to the source data we're looking at, Copilot is supported in Visual Studio 2019, specifically version 16.11 or later. If you're running that or anything newer, you are completely good to go. Next up, you're going to head over to the Extensions menu and click Manage Extensions, or just hit Ctrl-Shift-X if you're a shortcuts person. Search for GitHub Copilot and simply click Download. Now, once that finishes downloading, you're going to see a prompt reminding you that your changes are scheduled, but they won't actually kick in until all your Visual Studio windows are closed. Believe it or not, this is a super common stumbling block, so make absolutely sure to fully close out all of your open windows and restart your IDE to actually apply those changes. Now, when you do restart, you're going to automatically see this VSIX or Visual Studio Extension Installer window pop right up. Do not panic. This is totally normal. Just let it do its thing to modify Visual Studio Enterprise. Click Continue, and it's going to configure the whole extension for you quietly in the background. All right, so once you relaunch Visual Studio and open up a project, a prompt is going to pop up asking you to authenticate to GitHub. It'll give you a specific device activation code right there in your output window. All you have to do is copy that exact code, click the link they provide, and paste it straight into the GitHub device authorization page. Finally, you just hit that big green Authorize GitHub Copilot plugin button. And that is literally it. Seriously, congratulations. You've just successfully wired an AI brain right into your computer, and it is fully authorized and ready to help you code. Let's jump to Section 3, Writing Code with AI, from Setup to Suggestions. Okay, getting used to having an AI assist you definitely means building up some new muscle memory. And for a beginner, mastering these 2 physical hotkeys is hands down your biggest, most critical hurdle. First up, when Copilot suggests a chunk of code, just press Tab to accept it. Second, if you aren't thrilled with that initial suggestion, press Alt and the period key to cycle through some alternative options. This is huge, guys, because AI is, at its core, a guesser. And honestly, its very first guess isn't always its best one. What is absolutely fascinating here is just how seamlessly these suggestions blend right into your regular workflow. As you open up a project and start typing away in any supported programming language, Copilot is actively reading the context of your file. You're actually going to see grayed out text appearing right in line. Honestly, it's almost like having a ghostwriter sitting next to you, just waiting for you to hit that tab key and drop it right into the editor. And this right here perfectly illustrates the real magic of Copilot. You can actually prompt it directly. You don't have to just sit around waiting for it to guess what you're doing. You can just type out a plain English comment, something like, create a void method that takes a string and returns nothing, and Copilot will read that comment as a direct command. It'll just output the corresponding code snippet right underneath it. It's wild.
But hey, always remember, you are the pilot here. It's just the co-pilot. If you ever feel like the suggestions are just getting in your way, like maybe you're trying to track down a really frustrating typo and it keeps distracting you, you have total control. You can easily click on that little Copilot widget icon down in the bottom left corner of Visual Studio to pull up your settings. From there, you can completely disable the tool globally or just turn it off for specific languages or solutions if you prefer.
All right, moving into Section 4, Limitations and Security Risks, the reality check. Now, let's be real for a second, because there is a very genuine danger here, especially for beginners. Copilot gives you this incredible sense of speed, which can heavily tempt you to just blindly copy and paste quick fixes without truly understanding what the suggested code is actually doing under the hood. So please, remember this. Treat Copilot like an eager, incredibly fast junior developer that you are pair programming with. It absolutely means well, but you still need to carefully review its work to make sure it actually solves your specific problem correctly.
And beyond that temptation, there are definitely some structural limitations you need to keep in mind. First off, if you happen to use a Mac with an ARM processor, support is currently pretty limited, at least as of the source date we're looking at. Second, Copilot lacks the broader context of your company's entire codebase. It doesn't magically know your team's specific, quirky coding rules and standards. And third, generative AI as a whole still falls into a really ambiguous legal framework under a proposed global legislation like the AI Act.
Let's pause for just a quick privacy check-in here, because understanding how your code is handled is absolutely paramount. To actually give you these suggestions, Copilot has to transmit snippets of your code from your IDE over to GitHub in real time. So why does this matter? Well, you need the peace of mind knowing that, according to GitHub themselves, these code snippets are discarded the moment a suggestion is returned. They are not secretly hoarding your proprietary code on their servers somewhere.
And that leads us straight into GitHub's own official policy from their FAQ. It explicitly states, quote, "The code you write with GitHub Copilot's help belongs to you, and you are responsible for it." Now, that is a huge point. It places the ultimate burden of quality, ownership, and safety squarely back onto your shoulders.
Which brings us to a final, really vital question to ponder as you start integrating this incredible tech into your daily routine. If GitHub Copilot inadvertently suggests a code snippet that contains a security vulnerability and you generate code using it, whose responsibility is it to actually identify and fix that flaw? Because of this, it is highly recommended to double-check with your organization first, just to make sure you're officially allowed to use Copilot. AI is a fantastic tool. It is totally going to revolutionize how you code, but at the end of the day, you remain the developer in charge. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy, safe coding.